This is the story of how Harvard professor David Sinclair got away with $720 million and is using the same strategy to do it again today.
Did you know that this Harvard professor convinced a pharmaceutical giant to pay him $720 million for a scientific breakthrough? But what happened next will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about science. In today's video, we're diving into the incredible and controversial story of Dr. David Sinclair. He rose to fame with claims of extending lifespans through a compound called Resveratrol, but things didn't go as planned. Despite millions of dollars in investment, his research fell apart. Now, Sinclair's latest claims about reversing aging have sparked even more questions. Let's explore the truth behind the headlines. David Sinclair wasn't just any scientist. He was a rising star. In the early 2000s, his work with a molecule called resveratrol, found in red wine, exploded into the public spotlight. Sinclair claimed this molecule could activate a protein called Sirtris, believed to play a key role in aging. Early lab studies seemed promising. Mice fed resveratrol reportedly lived longer. The media loved it. Headlines screamed about how red wine might be the key to living longer. The scientific community took notice. Sinclair's charisma and groundbreaking claims led to the formation of Sirtris Pharmaceuticals in 2004. The company was built around the promise of resveratrol and its synthetic variants. Big names started paying attention, including GlaxoSmithKline, one of the world's pharmaceutical giants. In 2008, GlaxoSmithKline bought Sirtris Pharmaceuticals for a jaw-dropping $720 million. This wasn't just a business deal. It was a declaration of faith in Sinclair's research. The logic was simple. If resveratrol and similar compounds could slow aging, they could revolutionize medicine. The promise was not only longer lives, but healthier ones. It was the kind of dream that investors, scientists, and the public couldn't resist.
Sinclair's 2004 lifespan extension research on activating sirtuin-1 in worms and flies has not. Instead, when Sinclair's claims were re-examined by another lab in 2011,
Sinclair became a tenured professor at Harvard Medical School. He was celebrated, interviewed, and revered as a visionary in the field of anti-aging. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. GlaxoSmithKline began pouring money into Sinclair's theories, hoping to replicate his results on a larger scale. But one by one, their experiments failed. Independent labs also struggled. The initial promise of resveratrol began to fade. Critics pointed out that the studies hadn't accounted for variables like genetic background or proper controls. In 2011, reanalysis by other researchers revealed that resveratrol didn't actually extend lifespan in worms and flies as claimed. The results had been flawed. Worse, it turned out that the supposed activation of the SIRT1 enzyme wasn't due to resveratrol itself, but rather to a fluorescent dye used in the experiments. This revelation was catastrophic. Despite these alarming findings, Sinclair maintained his position. He shifted his focus to new compounds and theories. GSK, meanwhile, quietly shut down Sirtris Pharmaceuticals in 2013 after years of failed trials. They never recovered their $720 million investment. Here's where it gets interesting. Was this fraud, or simply bad science? GSK couldn't sue Sinclair or demand their money back because they couldn't prove he had knowingly misled them. His errors, whether intentional or not, were protected by what some have called plausible deniability. Sinclair never outright faked data, but he consistently published studies with questionable methods, overly optimistic interpretations, and poor controls. These mistakes, whether accidental or strategic, created a wall of incompetence that shielded him from legal consequences. Critics argue this was no coincidence. With resveratrol's reputation in tatters, Sinclair didn't stop. He pivoted. This time, the spotlight turned to NMN, another compound tied to aging and longevity. Once again, Sinclair made bold claims. He said NMN could boost NAD+ levels, a molecule important for cellular energy, and in doing so, potentially slow aging. He praised it on major platforms, including the Joe Rogan podcast. People listened. Supplement sales surged. But here's where the story takes a familiar turn. Sinclair launched a new company, Metro Biotech, with a proprietary version of NMN. Then he lobbied the FDA to ban over-the-counter NMN supplements. Why? Critics argue it was a calculated move to eliminate competition and create a monopoly, just as he had done with Resveratrol. Not everyone remained silent. In fact, some of the same people who once worked with Sinclair began to speak out. Professor Matt Kaeberlein, a well-respected scientist and Sinclair's former collaborator, publicly renounced his affiliation with the Academy for Health and Lifespan Research, where Sinclair served as president. Kaeberlein wrote, "I find it deeply distressing that we've gotten to a point where dishonesty in science is normalized to such an extent that nobody is shocked when a tenured Harvard professor falsely proclaims in a press statement that the product he is selling to pet owners has reversed aging in dogs." Jeffrey Flyer, former dean of Harvard Medical School, echoed the concern. Indeed, quite sadly, there are some snake oil salesmen in the Harvard Med faculty. The key actor is seemingly impervious and indifferent to rational critique. These aren't fringe critics. They are leaders in their field, questioning Sinclair's ethics and scientific rigor. So, what does the broader scientific community say about resveratrol and NMN? According to a Cochrane meta-analysis, the gold standard in medical reviews, resveratrol has no proven benefits in humans. Worse, it may even cause harm. Some studies show that it blunts the positive effects of exercise and lowers testosterone levels. GSK tried high-dose resveratrol in multiple myeloma patients, but the trials were halted due to kidney toxicity. The idea that poor absorption is the only issue simply doesn't hold up. Resveratrol was micronized to improve absorption, and still, the trials failed. As for NMN, while preliminary studies show it may increase NAD+ levels, there's no robust evidence it extends lifespan or improves health in humans. Much of the hype is based on animal studies or anecdotal evidence. The FDA's move to restrict NMN supplements has raised eyebrows, especially given Sinclair's role in pushing for regulation while simultaneously marketing his proprietary blend. So, where does this leave us? Is David Sinclair a misunderstood visionary, or is he exploiting scientific ambiguity for personal gain? His defenders say he's a pioneer pushing boundaries in a complex field. His critics argue he's misled the public, investors, and even fellow scientists for decades. What's undeniable is the pattern: bold claims, mass media attention, proprietary supplements, and then controversy. Whether this stems from hubris, ambition, or calculated strategy is up for debate. This story isn't just about one man. It's about how science, business, and media intersect, often in messy, dangerous ways. When promising research is rushed to market and the lines between scientist and entrepreneur blur, the public suffers. Millions of people have taken resveratrol or NMN based on Sinclair's reputation. Many still believe in their anti-aging potential. But belief is not evidence. And when scientific claims are exaggerated or misrepresented, trust in science itself erodes. We must demand higher standards from researchers, institutions, and the media. Science should be slow, careful, and honest. When it's not, $720 million can disappear, and with it, public trust. So, what can you do? Stay skeptical. Read beyond headlines. Ask hard questions. Before buying into miracle cures, check if the evidence supports the claims. And always remember, just because someone has a Harvard title doesn't make them infallible. Leave a comment below. Do you think David Sinclair is a fraud, a genius, or something in between? And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into science, health, and the stories behind the headlines.